that how does an average nobody turns into a man who commands presence? How on earth do you stop being just yourself and become someone worth noticing and giving the mighty attention? Because here is the uncomfortable truth. For any man who does not come from generational wealth, genetical handsomeness, or social liberty and freedom, being yourself is the stupidest advice you could ever get. Because honestly, being ourselves, in this case for average men like you and me, is the most pathetic thing to do if we want to build a presence, have a personality, and create some influence. Alright, so I was recently at this Christmas/New Year's party where I ran into a lot of old familiar faces. Now, among them was this one face, that one face which I remembered very clearly. Because, my dear gents, it was a very pretty one. You see, back then in my old society, this woman was everyone's crush, and so was mine. But back then, I used to be myself. I had no charm, no conversational skills, no presence, no personality. Pretty much the poster child of mediocrity and average like anyone else would ever see. So, like most men back then, I stayed quiet, I stuck to my hobbies and minded my own business, thinking she was anyway way too out of my league. But months passed, years passed, and there she was. Same woman, same beauty, still dropped it. Gorgeous. This time though, something had changed. No, not her. I had changed. And that's exactly when it hit me. You see, when you're deep into this self-improvement or personal growth arc, you don't always see growth, changes, or any progress. You keep lifting weights, you keep grooming, you keep dressing, you keep learning, you keep improving yourself. But day to day, on an average, feels quite normal. It honestly feels quite boring. But then, when life throws you a moment like this, you sit back and realize, holy hell, where would I have been if I wouldn't have put in the work upon myself? Because gentlemen, the honest truth is, the years of self-improvement had totally changed me. I looked different, I talked different, I walked different, I behaved different. and the best part, I didn't even notice it. That is until she left her group of friends, walked right at me to the entrance, looked me dead in the eyes and asked me who the fuck was I? I mean, honestly, her reaction was fucking hilarious. I wish somebody was filming it, but that's a different topic for a different video. The point being, dear gents, from the moment I walked in till the very moment I stepped out, I had her attention. Not loud, in your face, desperate attention, but the managed, masculine attention. And that's when the real question comes. That how does an average nobody turns into a man who commands presence? How on earth do you stop being just yourself and become someone worth noticing and giving the mighty attention? Well, gentlemen, that is exactly what today's 2025's finale is all about. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. For any man who does not come from generational wealth, genetical handsomeness, or social liberty and freedom, being yourself is the stupidest advice you could ever get. Because honestly, being ourselves, in this case for average men like you and me, is the most pathetic thing to do if we want to build a presence, have a personality, and create some influence. So, change is not betrayal, my friend. Change is you respecting your potential, you respecting your identity. And it is this change which is what we are going to bring in the year of 2026. Gentlemen, my name is Mayank Bhattacharya. This is Men's Essentials, finale 2026 episode of Men's Essentials. That's right. Okay, so first thing first, that change which everyone saw at that party, the change that everyone witnessed and everyone gave attention to at that party, especially that pretty lady, hasn't happened overnight. It wasn't a phase, it was not an Instagram reel. Gentlemen, it was a decade-long process or a decade-long wait, as one would speak. Which in this case brings me to the very first principle of self-improvement, personal growth, or you becoming an overall attractive man, is understanding the value and importance of time and patience. Yes, the process may feel boring, unrewarding, and pointless at times. Yes, it will demand commitment, loyalty, and discipline at all times. But gentlemen, these are not obstacles. These are the very fundamentals of becoming an attractive man. If you are constantly chasing instant results and instant growth, then you're better off living on these social media algorithms than putting your step out in the real world. Because unlike social media and algorithm, unlike Instagram or YouTube, real life does not really care much about speed. It rather rewards consistency and discipline. So if you want change, real change, jaw-dropping change, then you have to train yourself to show up daily, show up consistently, stay disciplined in it, and eventually, the best part, fall in love with it. Now I get it, this might be a bit too much to ask. So one of the easiest ways to fall in love with the process is by making the process a part of your active daily routine. There has to be a point in time in your daily routines where you feel motivated, where you are least distracted, and when you are excited to try out new things and work upon your growth and improvement. This is that time of the phase when you are going to work on improving your attractiveness and becoming a better version of yourself in the year of 2026. It could be the mornings, afternoons, evenings or night. Now once you have evaluated and picked up the time of the day when you are going to work upon yourself, the next best thing you can do is understand the very fundamentals of it, which brings me to my core doctrine of becoming an attractive man. You see, all personal transformation, the very core existence of becoming an attractive man comes down to three strong fundamentals or three base pillars: your presence, your personality, and your influence. You see, your presence is what draws the attention. Your personality is what engages with and retains the attention. But it's your influence that actually directs and leads that given attention. So imagine if you're someone who hasn't ever been acknowledged for his presence, for his looks, fitness, style, or anything aesthetic, anything visual in general, anything competent in general, then it will be very hard for you to have an influence or have a conversation as an equal half with equal amount of interest and respect. I personally would rather want you to emphasize your presence first, your visual presence first, and then jump on to communication, personality, and influence. Which then brings me to improving your presence, your very first impression in discussion. Gentlemen, if you can only afford to improve upon one element of your attractiveness, one pillar of your attractive man strategies, then this is the very first thing I'll want you to double down on in the year 2026. Because the importance of your presence starts much before you even speak. If you don't look like a guy who is relatable, who is influential, who has a personality interesting enough to talk to, nobody would even put in the effort to entertain or come talk to you. And the very first thing we ought to do to change our presence, to change our very first impression, is work on the way we look, especially the face and the body that we hold to be true. I mean, if you are somebody who is not so conscious about his hairstyle, if you are somebody who is not so conscious about his beard or his skin or his overall grooming routine, the whole aesthetic of this facial structure, then it will be very hard for a lady or even a man to hold eye contact and have a pleasant conversation with you. So this is a very easy thing to fix. You have to get yourself the right haircut, you have to get yourself the right skincare routine, and you have to get yourself the right grooming to make your face feel a whole lot more younger, a whole lot more masculine, and a whole lot more attractive to look at and therefore talk to. Once you have improved upon and worked on your hair and face, you can double down on your body and your body fat, your muscle and your overall fat intake. If you are somebody who has a lot of stored fat in it, it will be a very good idea to drop it down so that your face becomes a whole lot more chiseled. You look a whole lot more younger. I mean, dropping down fat could probably make you look 5-6 years younger quite instantly. Putting on muscle will make you look a hell of a lot more masculine quite instantly. Which then obviously brings me to fashion and style. Gentlemen, if what you wear and how you show up is not full of pride and confidence, then it will be very difficult for somebody who is confident to relate to you. I was not a very visually confident guy 10 years back then. I wasn't somebody who has actively ever thought of improving my style and presence back then. And gentlemen, that was probably one of the reasons I was even a diehard simp back then, because whenever I would date or whenever I would go out with somebody who was extremely hot or extremely pretty, I always thought that she was anyway way out of my league. She was doing me a favor by being with me or by dating me, and therefore I had to overcompensate to be around her or be this extraordinary simp. The moment I started working on myself in terms of visual aesthetics and style and presence, the moment I started getting acknowledged for my sense of presence, style and fashion, is the moment I started feeling equal and I started becoming a whole lot more of myself in these conversations, discussions, or even dates. Now, if you are interested in my sense of style and fashion, if you like what I wear, if you like my sense of presence, then you can get what I wear at tmebasics.com in case you are interested. Like for example, in this signature black polo or the signature beige polo, the great shirts that we have, classic smart casual shirts, formal shirts, you can head over to tmebasics.com, use the code hind10 to get a special discount to level up your confidence, your sense of style, and your overall presence than before. Which then brings me to the last element of your presence, which is your body language, your gestures, and your overall physical personality. How do you look is for your face and body. How do you dress is for your fashion and style. But how do you move is a very attractive non-verbal terminology. If you aren't very calm, confident, and comfortable in your own space, in your own body, and at your own pace, then people will notice it and people will probably find it creepy or awkward. Because much before you open your mouth, you are visible and people see it quite clearly. Now this brings me to the second pillar of it all, your personality, the bit that builds the connection after you have got the initial attention in it. Because gentlemen, personality is what takes over when the attention is already on you. I mean, ask yourself these basic questions. How do I approach people? How do I react when I am being approached by people? Can I lead social situations? Can I lead social conversations? How do I talk? How do I banter? Do I make people comfortable when they are in my presence? Am I charming? Am I funny? Am I intense? Am I a storyteller? What kind of a personality do I naturally resonate with? I mean, from being this highly extroverted, socially charismatic individual to this sharp, witty, intense, introverted individual, the choices are many. You have to pick your poison and you have to empower it. Because your personality is not accidental. It is crafted and created by your conscious living. Which then brings me to the third and the final pillar of your attraction, your attractiveness, your influence or authority. Because at the very end of it, influence is where boys stop and men begin. And it is this influence, this authority, this leadership that leads, communicates, and influences decisions in a social situation without being dominant, arrogant, or pricky. Now the best way for you to know if you're influential or not is sit by yourself and ask yourself these honest questions. When given in a social or romantic situation, can you lead verbally or non-verbally? Can you make the frame masculine and feminine? Can you take quick decisions or make plans very effectively? Can you speak with clarity, calm, without overthinking? Can you persuade without forcing? And can you be intentional without being too loud about it? Because this is exactly what influence is, my friend. Influence is not just sheer loud on your face dominance. It is clear conviction, clear commitment to some action without being forceful or very desperate or needy. So what happened at that party the other night wasn't accidental. It wasn't a luck in my favor. It was years of work that just came into light or flourished the best when it was put to test against all the mighty odds in discussion. You have to experience it, you have to live it, you have to make it a part of your life. Because one of the very last things I would want you to do going forward in 2026 is to live the remaining years of your life with the scarcity mindset. You deserve the abundance, you deserve the options, you deserve all the privileges that the riches and the liberal class have had for years to come. But you have to put in the work, you have to introspect, and you have to give it time, patience, and be very disciplined about it. You know the three pillars, you know my doctrine, you know all of it that there is to learn. Don't get overwhelmed, don't be super anxious, don't put on 10 different things in your platter. Pick one of the three pillars that you have learnt about. Yes, three pillars of presence, personality, and influence. But again, for now, if you would want to improve your presence like I have by wearing something that I like to wear, for example polos, shirts, and great t-shirts, then you can head over to tmebasics.com, use the code hind10 and gift yourself one of these sexy polos for the new year to come. If you would want me to help you out with your growth personally, if you would want me to help you out become a lot more attractive than what you are as of right now personally, then you can even get in touch with me by sending us an email and we'll make it happen as well. For now, I'll have to get back to work. I'll have to finish this video before the year ends and see you soon in the next one. Don't forget to dress up, stay strong, and stay grounded. Jai Hind, take care, and a very happy